Hi, um, this tutorial will show you how to create a Spring project and configure it with Hibernate, and we use this Spring transaction to commit data to the database. So let me walk you through the code. So I have a project, so that's a Spring Hibernate project which has been created, and I've done some coding for that. And it is basically built on Spring framework with Maven to build the source code. Okay, let's go to the code. I got a controller, Spring controller, which is an annotated controller. You need to specify the Spring that this is a controller class, and I have a couple of methods. These methods are used to serve the request. So it's like our servlet, what we do in the vanilla JSP servlet application. So here, this is to load the home page. That's my contact JSP page, and this is an add method which add the contact to the database, and this is delete this particular contact from the list. And to furthermore, I have a contact service um, through which the controller will call this service is an auto-wired component. So once you say this is an auto-wired, the Spring framework will get that instance pulled and ready for use. So we don't need to worry about the life cycle of the add instance. So right now I'm going to show you how we go to the implementation class of this one, and this is the implementation class here, and I have three methods like add contact, list contact, and remove contact. So list will return a list of um, contacts in the database, and this is going to add a contact to the database, and this is remove that contact. So it's kind of delete. So now just eye on these things. Just look at this transaction. So this is a Spring transaction. So to be honest, like seeing that this is the basic transaction which use. So this is the Spring transaction is used instead of Hibernate transaction. So let's see how the Hibernate transaction generally happens. So this transaction is from the Spring package. So let's not go into that. So I'm going to use the sorry. I'm going to use this contact. So if you see here, two methods here. One is sorry, three methods here. So one is the session factory. That's for the Hibernate session factory, and this is the list of contact what I have is. Another one is to add to the contacts. So use a session factory that get session, then you save the contact. So the transaction is used from the Spring, not from the Hibernate transaction. If you see this code, this is how generally the native Hibernate transaction happens. So because I have two methods, it shows red marks. So in Hibernate, you have to get the session, then begin the transaction, do your operation, then commit it, and it is purely from Hibernate side. But right now, I'm not using that. We use a simple method here. So just get the Hibernate session and create the query to list the contact. And this is the remove contact. We need to remove the contact from the ID. So if I pass the ID as from the front end, and then it's get deleted. So that's pretty much of that application. So the highlight here is we are using a transaction from Spring. So let's see how that goes. So if I want to run this application, I may have to do a build. So it is building automatically when I say what's a hotspot server. So I'm going to run it on server. Okay, I'm going to restart this because we make some changes to the Java side. So restarting, please bear with me. Takes a while to load the Spring context and the application context and stuff like that. So behind I want to show you how the database things happens. So this is the table which I use to insert data. So first name, last name, telephone, email, and create a date. So that's pretty much of that table. So whatever we save it going to sit in there. Right now it's empty. Let's query that. It could be empty now. There's no data right now. So that's MySQL database. Alright, alrighty. So we got the first page here. So I'm going to add some value to that. Sorry. And I put a dummy email ID and a telephone number. Let's say everything as 0. I don't care for this number format. I'm just going to save it down. So hit save. Alright, it got saved into that. So you could see some Hibernate logs here. So Hibernate's query has been they logged it out to the console. So this is what I created. We go back to the database and query it again. You can see just now they inserted some data. So this is what has been inserted. So if you go here, it call this add, and then it go and call the service where we have the implementation here. Just see that simple implementation is going to take this information and save it down to the data layer. So the data layer they use what here, there is no transaction I mentioned, but it's been mentioned here, the repository base. And if you go to the service level, you can see that transaction is being mentioned here. So the add contact, all these things are using Spring transaction. That's how it is. So if you go and see contact.jsp, okay, what is it? Yep, the contact.jsp is a simple page with a form inside and a couple of some JSTL tags to list the contacts, and you can delete it from here by passing the ID in the parameter in the URL. So you're going to call it from the controller. If you see the controller, I'm going to take this contact ID here and then delete it from the database. So if we go here and see what happens, where's it? Okay, right here. I'm going to delete this. That's gone. So if you go and see the database, it should be gone. Exactly. Cool. So that's what I want to tell you. So it is using Hibernate and Spring, but the transaction is used from Spring. The Spring transaction, Spring controller, and the Hibernate framework to it's ORM framework which you use to come with the data. So if you have any question, let me know. Thanks. Bye bye for watching this.